in 3, 2, 1. Hello, Planet Watchers. So, as you can see today, I'm not here with Exi, the voice, the man, but I am actually with another, the man. I am here with Claudio. We decided to do this within EU business hours. It was an opportunity that came up, and so I had to grab it for the community. I will have in the next episode a deep down talk with Exi to follow up on everything said here. But now, for me and Claudio, you all are aware we were in Paris. We were at that event. We caught a little bit of a flu. It's not COVID. We both tested negative. So mind that our voices are not really on par. But we will try to dive fast into a few topics. And this is why, without further notice, my CEO, Claudio Parrinello, he will probably tell us now something about the recent status updates on data monetization.
Okay, thanks a lot, Merlin. It's great to be here after some time. Thank you for inviting me. So yes, I believe I have some interesting news for the community, and I believe it's the right time to get a little bit into some detail. Okay, we are talking about data monetization. So as you all know, this is one key deliverable for PlanetWatch in 2023, demonstrating scalable monetization, so that we have set up we have a product which is valuable, and we have all it takes to start selling it in a scalable way, meaning that to go from 1 sale to 10 sales, it won't take 10 years, if you see what I mean. So before getting here, we had to prepare the tools which will make it possible, in particular the API-based data access and billing system to retrieve our data sets. This admittedly took longer than expected, as in 2022, we and the rest of the planet had to face a number of challenges. But here we go, and let's get straight into the matter. As of today, we have roughly 280 sensors out of approximately 20,000 currently live sensors in the network, which are getting their data sold. So you could call it 1.4%. Now, let's see how this breaks down. First of all, talking about type 1. Now, here there is a big news, very important news. We just signed an agreement with TIA Group, enabling them to buy data from about 180 Equinos that PlanetWatch has in Italy. Now, you could say at this point, why TIA? What is this? Now, you may not know it, but on top of manufacturing very good sensors, the Equino sensor, TIA, as a company, offers environmental monitoring services to a number of cities in Italy, and they have their own Equino network. So if they have their own Equino network, why do we need additional data from PlanetWatch? Well, that's a very important point, very interesting point. The thing is, when you analyze pollution patterns in a city, very often the need emerges for data from adjacent territories. Because, of course, air flows and pollution hotspots don't care about municipal boundaries. So air flows, and sometimes pollution sources, polluting plants, are located right at the boundary between two municipalities, and you might wonder why. So since mayors have no power to deploy sensors beyond their territory, TIA often lacks critical data for their customers. I'm a mayor in this place. I see pollution in my city. TIA feels that it comes from somewhere else. I'd like to know about it somewhere else, but I have no power or money to deploy sensors there. So here, the value of our global and hyperlocal network comes in. TIA has realized that leveraging data from the PlanetWatch network across the country of Italy, in this case, will be instrumental for them to fill the knowledge gap and the coverage gap and to deliver better services to their customers. So it's a very interesting use case, and it makes a lot of sense from our point of view. We are providing additional coverage with respect to what governmental players and even private players are providing have at the moment, and this has a business value. So they will be purchasing data from all our Italy-based Equinos. That's one thing. The other thing is about type 3. So as of today, we have approximately 100 type 3 sensors whose data are being sold. A large fraction of them are installed in 2 high-end hotels in Italy. Incidentally, we've been also helping these hotels achieve resetter qualification, and you know what it is, and it's very prestigious. So on top of this 100, within these 100 sensors, a fraction of them, about 30, are installed at the moment in the framework of what is a paid pilot project with schools in northern Italy. Now, the reason why we're not yet disclosing full details about this project is that the fact that local authorities said they will do some joint PR with us as soon as the pilot is completed, probably at the end of the school year, obviously. So this is a small pilot, small numbers, but the territory managed by this local authority has a population of 1 million. So there is very large scope for scaling up the business with this customer, and of course, to replicate these type of deals across Italy and other European countries. So all in all, we can say today that 1.4% of all our sensors are having the data monetized. So this percentage is going to be, in a way, a key performance indicator for us. Of course, the goal is to monetize 100% of the network. The other important thing is that we are computing this percentage across all 4 sensor types because we see monetization opportunities, not just for type 1 and type 3, but also for type 2 and type 4 sensors. So the goal now is to scale up this percentage and also to maximize the yield from each sensor, because in particular for outdoor sensors, you should bear in mind that data from the same sensor can in principle be sold to several customers. For example, the same data set could be used for a local government dashboard, but also for a global mapping app like Google Maps, right? So it's about scaling up the percentage of sensors which are getting monetized and scaling up the revenue per sensor. So this is our focus, our main focus for 2023. And once again, you could feel that this is taking a bit of time. You should also realize that we are creating a brand new product in a fast-growing new market. So having 1.4% of the network already monetized, I think is a decent achievement less than 3 years since we first went live on Algorand, and in the light, of course, of all that is happening in the world.
Okay, Claudio. So, this was some very interesting, all-encompassing speech on this, and you announced here some very interesting monetization deals. I would make the argument here that this is like by numbers, even if it's for some just 1.4%, it is already past the point of proof of concept and more going into the real application side of things. I like the fact that we're having a key factor like an indicator now that we can over time build up and have a reference point to and see how much of the network is monetized. But like in terms of the sensor owners, the PlanetWatchers community, when will they probably, as a timeline, be likely to see benefits from these deals, or more precisely, like effects on the recycle bins, or in the end, in their wallets?
Okay, yeah, thanks for this question, which is a great question. So as we all know, the white paper spells out the rules to redistribute revenues obtained from access to PlanetWatch datasets. Obviously, this applies to all the deals mentioned before. Now, in terms of timing, there are 2 things to bear in mind. We are currently completing the deployment of all the tools connected to the Earth credit system. So the thing is, we want to start Planet's distribution to recycle bin and to relevant sensor holders when all the machinery is ready. And I believe this will be ready before the summer. So it will take a little bit more time for final testing and deployment of the tools. The other thing to bear in mind is that the indoor monetization deals that I mentioned are already up and running, while the outdoor deal with TIA is a brand new one. So starting the TIA thing will require possibly a few more weeks. The last thing to bear in mind is that for the indoor deals, the sensors are essentially owned by the customer. If you think about a hotel, for example, they bought the sensors to deploy on their own premises. So the the owner part of the revenue is not something that community members out there will see. On the other hand, they will see the effect on recycled bins, obviously. While on the other hand, for the TIA deal, the sensors that are getting the data monetized are sensors owned by ordinary planet watchers by and large, because it's essentially all the Aquinos which have been deployed so far in Italy. So that will see an effect both on their own wallets and, of course, on the recycled bins. But again, it would take a few more weeks to activate the TIA deal and maybe a couple more months to have all the machinery ready to track all the distributions. One more thing that I'd like to emphasize, I think I mentioned that again, is that, and especially for outdoor deals, this could be, even if you are a lucky Italian planet watcher getting your Equino monetized, this could be small money at the beginning, but it could grow over time. Why it could be small? We are selling API access to your data. The API has a price list. We, of course, decided to be quite competitive with other companies such as Breezometer and other providers of air quality data. So the prices are attractive. The amount of money that this generates depends on how often TIA decide to call the API to update their data. So it's a testing ground. We will see how much we generate per sensor per month. We don't know in advance, really, because it really depends on how often they decide to retrieve data, among other things. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how much it generates for you. But again, the very powerful thing is that over time, it will not just be TIA using your data, but other players. And all these API calls will add up in terms of planets. So again, let's be confident, see how it goes, and let's try to scale fast, as I said.
Okay, thank you, Claudio. There you gave us some better context to the background workings of it, or like to expecting the timelines. But like when we're talking about expecting timelines, like some people, of course, that followed our project for all the time, they might claim now this is a step that is taking very, very long, mostly because they feel like they don't get information updates one after each other. But what can you maybe disclose about the work that is going on in the backstage, why things are taking longer, or at least give the community a perspective that they understand this whole process a little bit better?
Sure. So apart from the factors that I already mentioned to some extent, maybe it's useful to focus on specific items. So, for example, you might remember that when during the Cypher in 2021, December 2021 in Miami, we had a very visible announcement from the mayor of Miami of a very strong, very public interest to host PlanetWatch in the city. So sometimes projects take long because of external factors, because after the announcement, let's say that it's been a bit complex to make progress in the discussions needed to decide how we deploy, where to deploy, and blah, blah, blah. So sometimes things take more time, and it's not because of us, but because maybe, generally speaking, I would say sometimes politicians are interested in making an announcement, yet the follow-up and the implementation depends on other factors that they may not, in some cases, don't fully control. So we are ready. We are making progress in Miami, among other things, but we still don't have all the green lights. But we are making progress and doing our best to implement there. Just as an example, that there are many reasons why a project can take a long time. In other cases, there are very good reasons and very organic reasons for the timescales. For example, if we want to market outdoor air quality data to a local government entity, we need to wait for the local PlanetWatch network to achieve sufficient density to make it interesting. And then we have to have, of course, full control of data quality. Incidentally, there's a lot of work which has been going on in the background in PlanetWatch in R&D regarding automatic data quality checks and dynamic sensor recalibration, because measuring air quality, it's a complex business, as you know. So we've been deploying AI, machine learning, and all that paraphernalia to make sure that we have high quality data which are valuable and can stay valuable over time. So essentially, we don't want to sign deals and then get complaints about the quality of our data. That would be disastrous for us. It would be worse than not signing deals, I believe. So, okay, having said that, we do have a promising pipeline of deals under discussions, including some collaborations with large international institutions. Now, why am I being a bit cryptic here? On one hand, it is our policy, and it's in the best interest of deal completion to disclose details only when the deals are finalized and we get the green light from the partners. So we often say we provide further information when the time is right. Now, in practice, what happens? Typically, the larger partners, they tell us the following. We don't want to announce MOUs or the start of a pilot. We want to announce together with you either pilot project completion or when we start a large project, which could be logically linked to pilot project completion. So it is our policy, and it's a policy driven by experience and by what our partners are telling us. You see, this is not a time, I mean, in difficult markets, challenging situations, it's no longer the time of a fancy announcement with no content behind. There was a time where this worked. Everybody was happy about it. Everybody was enthusiastic. These times, people are looking into real value. And real value means we are doing something heavy, something meaningful together. So it all comes from our partners, from ourselves. Let's be cautious and conservative to make an announcement, even if it looks like nothing is happening. But then, to some extent, it's a matter of trust. It's a matter of looking at what feedback we get from other players. And I will say a few words maybe later on this. But I mean, we have to be very consistent and professional when we announce something. We cannot just announce having signed a piece of paper.
Yeah, I feel also like one thing you said that like just struck me personally was the part about the R&D on the data quality, because like whenever I have talks with the tech team, I see that this is something that takes a lot of time and is basically constantly worked on. This doesn't make necessarily for good updates and news, but people probably don't have a perception how much work is going in aligning air quality sensors on a global scale, especially if you're taking reference points and everything. Like this is a highly technical part, and it is actually interesting for someone who is very deep into the technology. But other than that, it is hardly something you can really communicate at a recurring basis to give a sense of progress, because it is simply a lot of work. What is also interesting for me is like, the thing about what you can disclose and cannot disclose. Like I, obviously being in the team, know a little bit more about, for example, the thing with the school that we're often talking about. And I would make the argument, without teasing too much, that it is kind of a big deal in terms of where it is located. But you cannot really speak about it until it's done, because you have to follow up the requirements from the other side. Like the more important an entity is, or the more grounded it is with local governments or municipalities, you have always the point that making PR or talking about things is not easy. Everything is locked behind NDAs, and they simply, if we have the feeling we would like to announce things earlier, this doesn't mean we can do it, because they have a different perception of that. So now that we spoke about a little bit what we cannot easily disclose all the time, maybe what are things regarding to such things we're doing currently that we can speak about?
Yes, indeed. We just signed something that can be disclosed, and it's important. We just signed 2 NDAs with 2 leading European universities, namely Hamburg University from Germany, obviously, and Universidad Complutense de Madrid from Spain, which are interested in analyzing PlanetWatch data sets. To me, this is very, very important, because we are doing science here. So scientific validation via the interest of universities is very important for market validation. So if data are science grade, they're also market grade. And that's an important milestone per se. Now, let me emphasize that the scope of these agreements, of these with these universities, encompasses both indoor and outdoor data. And in particular, I'd like to emphasize that this includes indoor data from households, since one of many goals, is to study people's indoor exposure during dust storms and other meteorological events, and to understand how people avoid and mitigate indoor air pollution. In other words, we are validating the relevance of PlanetWatch data from all 4 types of devices in our network. And to me, that's a point which is worth emphasizing.
Yeah, I think that too. I mean, like if we're talking about the reaction of indoor sensors to sandstorms, like maybe also the context should be added there that this is something that is kind of hyper regional. Like it's not like it will target all the PlanetWatch sensors, but at behest of the university, certain sensors they have interest on doing correlations on kind of global events, like because people who know this topic, like sandstorms, tend to have minimal effects all across the globe. So, and I found it personally very interesting that they specifically asked about the indoor quality and how people react to this. So this will be a interesting topic, and basically there will be more disclosed at a given time above it, but we could also at least talk about which university this is. So this is very interesting. Okay, now that we covered this topic, let's maybe get into one of the more unpleasant ones, or like some people would say, the elephant in the room. What is your take on the current token price?
Okay, yeah, let's discuss this, because I think there are some misconceptions about what I think about it and whether or not I care. So I'll tell you what I think. I think that in bull markets, in supermarkets, it's about hype. So if you make an empty announcement, which may or may not be completely true, that generates price action. Everybody's happy until the bluff is called, and then it often ends up in disaster. If you have lied to the community or you have overhyped a small thing. In bear markets like now, this strategy just doesn't work at all. Empty hype doesn't work. The thing is, in bear markets, investors don't disappear, but they become choosy. They look for actual proof of value. So announcements with content can drive price action and are meaningful, which is related to what I said earlier about MOUs and blah, blah, blah. So to be even more clear, the token price, the Planet's token price, is important to me. And obviously a negative price evolution is disappointing to me in the first place. The token price is really a KPI for the project in the long term, because as you know, the Planet's total supply is fixed, and it's even getting significantly reduced by the burning initiative that we approved with a community a few weeks ago. The thing is, as we move into data monetization, we have the Planet's redistribution mechanism, which will create Planet market demand. So as soon as this mechanism kicks in a significant way, I would say that price action is expected to follow, because if supply is fixed and demand grows, this will have an impact, of course, a positive impact on price evolution. But what I believe is that this will be the outcome of real business achievements. So we are obsessed with getting business up and running, showing that it's scalable, which means it can grow very fast. And we are refraining from just hyping up what we do. I mean, I did disclose a few announcements today, and all these things are important, but I believe I'm not overhyping it. I believe I'm conveying the real message. So once again, if the business succeeds, if our data are monetized, which requires data to be valuable, good quality, based on all the things that I said before, I think this inevitably, let's say, will drive the price in the direction that we expect.
Yeah, like speaking about it, like I also feel like sometimes being very at the front line with the hodler program, that it is a little bit behind my expectations, but I am clearly looking forward to the burning solutions, because I also think like once we have a burning solution, this is not really where it ends. We will find other means to apply it and to have kind of this anti-inflationary mechanism on the token. Speaking about that, can you give us a status update on the burning timeline? Like, because we're currently in the moment where we're having the pre-burner wallet, and when can we expect, or how should it look, that we get the real burning solution?
Okay. Yeah, okay, let's try to be clear here as well. The first thing to know is that on the Algorand blockchain, there is no default predefined burning procedure. So it's something that you have to decide how you go along with that, how you tackle that. So we've been discussing with the Algorand technical team, and the outcome of the discussion is that there are in principle 3 options on the table. Option 1, we could just manually, I would say, send planets to be burned to the very special address on the blockchain, which is called the 0 address. We do this, and then we need to open tickets with CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, all these platforms, and ask them to manually update the total supply. So option 1, we just send the tokens to the 0 address, manually, I would say. Second option, we set up a smart contract only for PlanetWatch, which essentially the address of smart contract is rekeyed to the 0 address. So it's a more sophisticated way to do what we said in option 1. The third option, which is the recommended option at this point, is we open a so-called ARC, so Algorand Request for Comment proposal on the GitHub, and then we let the community comment on that. So we upload the code, which we proposed in order to implement the burning, so smart contract code, and we wait for comments. This is the best way. This is the best way, because in this way, we really contribute to the Algorand ecosystem at large. We set a standard following community comments and advice and improvements, a standard for the whole of Algorand, and everything is 100% transparent and tested by the community. So we have decided to proceed in this way, and we have scheduled to open the ARC proposal around mid-April. Following the publication of the proposal, I believe it makes sense to leave maybe a couple of weeks for comments and further analysis. And once we reach consensus on the software we use to deliver the burning, we go for it. There's no way we will go back from what we said. I mean, we made a proposal, it was voted by the community, so there's no way back.
Yeah, I mean, like, I am pretty much aware of that fact, that because like I have been talking with, or not talking, I have been looking at the back end of CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, and it is like how the situation currently is, that we need like a official accepted solution to make this work in its entirety. And one fact maybe to be added there is that the 0 address on Algorand up to now was actually used to kind of burn or send into Nirvana Algorand tokens, and not so much ASA. So the thing is, PlanetWatch token is an ASA on the Algorand blockchain, and this is kind of a new thing, to have a real official accepted burning solution that also complies, like from the perspective of things like CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. So we have really, like, taking this amount of tokens out of circulations is not like a thing you can simply just hand wave. And this is why we have to look into this solution deeply, but it is very interesting, and I believe we will hear soon some things, and I also like that we are going for the option 3 here. Okay, now that we have that covered, let's go into a more general topic pitch from me. Is there anything all-encompassing or general you want to say to the community now, Claudio?
Okay, I'm going to be a bit boring and reiterate what I say all the time. We have a plan, we have a roadmap, we're going to stick to it and deliver. That's what we're doing. We're focused on the roadmap, which includes the API and all the business development side, because let me put it this way, our holy grail for 2023 is to prove scalable data monetization. And scalable is very important. We feel we have a strategy to go all over the world fast. And in that respect, let me emphasize that the role of business partner can be extremely important. So as we mentioned in a recent blog post, we are really encouraging all qualified firms to purchase PlanetWatch data via our API and to use our data to deliver innovative, high-value data products to their local customers. So once again, as an example, you might be a consulting firm in Adelaide, Australia, which is already doing business with local government, helping them manage the city. You find out about hyperlocal data from PlanetWatch, you inject them in your dashboard via our API, you have an innovative product, higher value product, you put a markup on the cost, of course, of the API calls, and you do more business, you create value. This approach is the fastest way for PlanetWatch data to be sold globally, obviously. We're not going to chase, as a company, as a PlanetWatch company, each and every opportunity worldwide. It would make no sense. That is not what we call scalable. This is the old way to do business in the 20th century, set up subsidiaries, hire staff, spend a lot of time. This doesn't work here. It makes no sense. So in this context, we're very happy that TIA, in particular, has been taking the lead so far for outdoor data in Italy. What we do with them is kind of a template for future partnership with all interested parties. So we are going to support any other player worldwide wishing to build a profitable business based on PlanetWatch data. So it's a lot of business development with a lot of support from our partners. And since I like to spoiler things, talking about business development, let me tell you that we are restructuring our internal staff resources and strategy. And you're going to meet very, very soon our new head of business development in a different fireside chat, I guess. And she already told me she's very young, very energetic, very good, obviously. And she already told me that she's looking forward to appear on the fireside chat. So watch this space.
Oh, this sounds great. I mean, like we are always happy to get guests on the format, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Obviously, I know her already, and this is why I'm looking forward to it. It will be kind of interesting to go at that side also because, like, in the past, this is a site usually the community couldn't see so much of other than our blog posts. And to get a little bit more directly into contact with someone to explain something about business development will be very interesting. Yeah. But now, as we usually do in PlanetWatch, also some of the a little bit more harsher or nasty questions. Like I want to now segue this into my final segment, the segment about putting some interesting or spicy questions on the table. And as you're the CEO, probably they will be a little bit more harder than usually the stuff I need to answer from Mike. So, are you up for the challenge?
Absolutely. I like spice stuff. I love habanero. So
okay, but yeah, hold your horses. This will be not so easy. So those are things I composed from like the community, Twitter, different public speaking spaces. I kind of looked a little bit for some nasty stuff in the last 3 months, and yeah. So let's get right into the topic. So the first thing is like, what would you have to say to people that claim PlanetWatch is a dead project?
A dead one.
Yeah.
What can I say? Well, as far as I know, dead projects don't sign contracts with universities or let alone businesses, don't score better than projects led by UNICEF and the World Food Programme in blockchain impact competitions, as we did in Paris last week. They're not endorsed by international organizations and all that. So I think we can be accused of being slow, stupid, or you name it, but we are alive for one thing.
Good thing. Yeah, another one is what I just saw recently is what has PlanetWatch been actually doing this year? I only hear about the hodler program, and I don't see any impact on the token price.
Okay, so we spoke today a lot about what we are doing as PlanetWatch, and I also feel like I gave a good take on the token price. Once again, it's behind our expectations. But in this bear market, we need to focus on building substance and make progress in real world application business cases. So once we have the burning solution in place, we start selling more data by the APIs. I expect that the value of what we are doing will be reflected in the market. Let me put it this way.
Yeah, I mean, like for many people that are more on our loyal side, they actually like everyone wants to finally see the burning happening like on the charts of CoinGecko on CoinMarketCap. So I think it's still a big essential piece missing, and we will see where it goes from here. Okay, I saw a pretty hot take. I believe it was on Twitter, like basically under publication of our things that we were on Paris blockchain event. There was like, what are you actually doing, Claudio? You're collecting miles and enjoying cocktails.
Absolutely, yes. No, seriously.
This is why we're both sick now.
Okay, let me tell you, I'm here to do my job. I'm not going to stop because of cheeky comments. That's number one. On a personal level, as you can probably guess, I'm no longer 25 years old. So business travel is kind of tiring to me. And I only engage in business travel when I feel I can add value, not for leisure. So if I go to Paris and if I take a picture, I have an agenda behind that, believe me. And it's about showing that we have some activities that we are getting supported by people. And it's not staged. I mean, it's real. But I only do it when I believe it makes sense to do it in terms of cost versus benefits. I'm not, I've traveled way more than enough in my life for leisure. I don't really care about putting leisure into my business travel. Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give some context here also, because basically I was on this last event together with Claudio, and was my first experience next to my CEO doing such an event of this kind of thing. And to be honest, the schedule was pretty tight. Like it was all day doing something. Claudio had many talks behind the scenes. I mean, you see just one or two photos, but the reality is what's going on there. It's like basically we're running around all the day, and I barely could catch up with Claudio because he was all over the place. And also, like to put a little bit perspective on this one photo where this nasty comment was under, it's like we were invited to a specific Algorand event outside of the Paris blockchain event. We were invited there, like. The drink was free, and I mean, if you're getting the chance of having a photo with Silvio Micali and people like that, like, and everyone is having a drink in the, like, I don't get the point even. I found it a little bit ridiculous, but I found it also funny, nasty questions, you know? Okay. Another one directly from Discord, I believe. Why should I keep my devices on if it doesn't even pay the electricity costs?
Okay. Device. Okay, first of all, the device we're talking about delivers important information, which is very useful to your community and yourself. PlanetWatch sensors are not gadgets. They have utility. So if you pay electricity for your kettle, you may want to pay electricity for getting information about what you and your family are breathing. That's my take. So bear in mind that it's not a miner. Let me put it this way. It's an object, it's a piece of high quality hardware which delivers compelling information related to health. So maybe it's worth it. Second of all, on top of this, if you understand our business and token model, you realized that it takes time to build and sell a high-value data product by crowdsourcing data from all our Planet Watchers. And it takes even more time to reap the benefits of it. So besides the environmental utility, the business utility has to be built over time by aggregating data, validating data, building products, and selling them. So it's a long-term play, where long-term doesn't mean 10 years, obviously. If you see where we are getting today, it's long-term, but but I think it's happening reasonably fast at this point. And I expect it to move faster and faster as we go along.
Yeah, I mean, this question was a little bit of cheating involved, because I also saw in the follow-up conversation of this talk that the person that said it wasn't aware at this point that you can also get the license extensions with PW credit, and which are kind of super cheap at this point. And it was a little bit over dramatical, of course, because of the token value is not what people expect. They kind of take a hunch at this, it's not doing this or it's not doing that, but the reality is, at least to be fully fair, it does cover the electricity costs. But I still like the question, because it was poking at a point similar like the next question, and this is how will you actually attract users with this current abysmal return on investment?
Okay, now I would say this: those who understand that the long-term ROI in this project, including Planet's distribution from data monetization, is the real ROI, rather than a short-term ROI on daily rewards, will be attracted even if they don't care about their quality. So if you want to focus on ROI, I'm suggesting that what matters, what is relevant, is the medium to long-term ROI of the project. And you see that we tend to treat quite well people who stick with us, also in terms of discounts and benefits, rather than people who just give it a go and say, no, ROI is not good, I'm going to leave. But once again, to be fair, the real success driver is going to be what comes out of data monetization. So from the business perspective, the value of the project, of the token, and of the business is related to the value of the data that we generate. And this value is something that doesn't come out overnight. It needs a lot of work to build a valuable product out of a crowdsourced data set. And that is the priority number one. That's the focus. And that's the real KPI for the whole project.
Okay. Then one question I also saw that is rather recent, and I can kind of understand where it comes from. Lately, the network sensor at times are a little bit all over the place. Why is the network currently so unreliable?
Okay, I'm not a technical expert, so I will give a fairly general answer, and maybe we can answer more detailed questions when the time comes, together with our CTO. But I will tell you, scalability sometimes has growing pains. Well, always. We have tens of thousands of sensors streaming data to us all the time. So this requires a pretty big IT infrastructure, where things can happen. So we spend a lot of time trying to maximize the reliability of our IT infrastructure while keeping costs under control, because this stuff doesn't come for free, as you can imagine. So we spend a lot of time, and we have a very dedicated and very competent people looking to maximize the reliability while keeping costs under control. Sometimes things happen which are beyond our control, because of course the servers that we need are not in-house. So many things can happen on the server side with external service providers. So we are all the time thinking about improving, making it more scalable, and making it more reliable. As a specific example of an event beyond our control, of course, there was the MyAlgo situation, and we needed to mitigate risks, inform the community, and react. And now I'm very happy to say that we have completed the the switch from MyAlgo to Pera as a reference wallet. So it was a huge, unforeseen technical task, and now we managed to overcome that.
Yeah, I also think like as of course we all were in like a high alert state during this time. I have to here give a big credit to our technical team who did a great job. Like, I mean, I can understand that people don't like it if there is a day or two where the sensors don't reliably stream. But in the end, I am very confident to say that the tech team worked on the right things at the right moments, and this was in this very moment, it was mainly everything around the MyAlgo thing and the integration of Para Wallet. And there are many things on the back end of such situations that are not visible to the outside people. Like it's not just like you're snapping a finger to integrate Para Wallet. You have to communicate with entities, run labs with Algorand to make everything work smoothly. And kind of, if we're speaking about new wallet integration, like just the sheer amount of quality checks and security checks that are involved to make the transition from one system into the other, it's immense. It's immense. And in this moment, this integration side was slightly over priority over the network uptime. All the while, actually, some people worked until late in the night to recover things, to make nodes again work. I mean, like, as I am always in constant contact and I see sometimes how long people are online or working on things, like, it is hard to be perceived from the outside, but a lot of work is going into it. And our tech team and our CTO, they are very dedicated on these topics, and they are working nonstop in such situations. That has to be said fairly. Okay, then maybe to close it off with one of the more nasty, even more nasty questions. The last one I have here is, Claudio, what would you have to say to people that claim PlanetWatch is a laundering money scheme, a scam, a fraud?
What do I have to say? Okay, let's try to keep it rational, away from emotions. Now, the company leading the PlanetWatch project is a company incorporated in France, in Europe. France is a highly regulated jurisdiction. This means that we have to submit annual accounts to the government. We pay tax if we make a profit. We must comply with anti-money laundering policies. We are fully KYC'd as managers. I'm fully KYC'd. So in this context, I would say that only an idiot would set up a scam in this context. Let me put it this way. Now, of course, this answer is not convincing if you feel I'm an idiot. So I haven't reassured that in this case. If you don't feel I'm an idiot, let alone being an honest person, that if you feel I'm not an idiot, maybe this answer can help.
Yeah, I also think like I kind of feel redundant to usually to answer such a question, because like people should very well understand where we stand as a company and also our involvements. I mean, the deep routes we have, for example, with the in terms of where money is also partially coming from in funding rounds. If we talk about things like the Algorand Foundation, Borderless Capital, or even BPE France, whatever, like our involvement with big financial players, traditional finance, or also encompassing foundations, like people should be aware that this makes things for us usually very tricky. We usually have to over document on things, and there is like no wiggle room. There is like no real room for such to entertain even such ideas. I mean, this is partially also why we cannot always speak about everything or processes take long. It is under the eye of not just our legal team. It's usually more than one legal team involved in certain aspects, and I feel it's kind of a reoccurring meme sort of take of the community. But like, if you're really having this perception, then you probably don't understand business on this level. It sounds maybe a little bit arrogant from my side, but I feel I can say that. we positioned ourselves in this market with those entities, and it is very fair to say that, especially having the company in France, we have to over comply on everything, and there is no room for scam or money laundering or things like that. Yeah. I think you did a great thing here, targeting those a little bit more harsher questions. Feels kind of funny to be in the role, allowed to ask these things straightforward to your CEO. This was very good. We a little bit rushed the content now because I will do a follow up with Mike. And Mike will give more perspective of community. We will try to add a little bit more to this discussion when I talked with him. And yeah, overall, it was a great time with you today, and thank you very much for being on Fireside Chat. I know you have a lot to do currently, especially in this stage of the project and things that have to be done. But of course, I would be anytime happy to see you again on Fireside Chat. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Merlin. Let me just say publicly that I'm quite happy that you set up this Fireside Chat together with Mike. This has been very successful as far as I can tell. So I was very happy to be here. It's always delicate from my point of view to try and strike the right balance between not being absent and not being spamming my face all over the place. So I think that hopefully we'll strike the right balance based on the invitations I can get from you. So you will be the one deciding when my faces is needed or not. And then as much as this is possible in relation with other commitments, I will always be very happy to join. But I'm also very keen to have for you to have here other people in the company, because this is by no means a one-man show. Exactly. And we have lots of brilliant people in the team. So I hope you will feature them more than me in the future.
Yeah, I also hope. I mean, like, I am very well aware how much talent we have in company. And I will be happy, especially now that we know our new business development will be here sometime. Like, I can't wait to show other faces of the company, because like this is also something people are sometimes lacking out there, that they don't know what we have in our company and how much talent is kind of involved in our company. Yeah. Thank you very much. It was a nice talk. And to anyone on YouTube, of course, make sure to subscribe, like, and follow, and comment down in the topics what you liked on this episode or what you want maybe from the next episode. Although, to be fair, like, I will write a new recording very soon with Axie to get us aligned on things and to have a little bit the deep down discussion, the follow up to this episode. And after this, you can also use the YouTube comments and to make like wishes or expectations for future episodes. Thank you very much. Bye bye. And
thank you.
Have a nice week, everyone.
Thank you. And keep watching the planet.
Exactly.
Bye bye.